resolution. I have a mover, please. Thanks, Councillor Tusky, seconded by Councillor Johns. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. Item number 7. Tony. Rating valuation of properties on the river side. Good afternoon, Tony.
Hello.
Nice to see you back.
Thank you.
The floor is all yours, isn't it?
Okay, I'll just take the report as read, and if you've got any questions or queries, just yell out and I'll do what I can.
I'll start the ball rolling. Okay. A couple of questions as I asked previously. Why are we going through this process now? Should this not be part of an overall rating process?
Through the Chair, this was a recommendation made by the Community Board. As such, Council can adopt the recommendation as a resolution, or they can refer it back to the Community Board for further consideration. What we're doing here, because the recommendation from the TTPG was picked up in bulk and included in their recommendation, we thought it was appropriate to brief the Council on the facts related to the valuation, hence the attachment that has the Valuer General's audit opinion, etc. And Tony's here to answer any concerns of that particular nature. So it relates back to the recommendation that was made at the Community Board.
Understand that and accept that. Except that when I read through the item and I look at 7(3), under option 2, that paragraph there where we talk about landmass technology will take for the 216 revaluation within the defined rating area. But to me, it could have potential that should apply through that criteria should apply through all the revaluation throughout the district, not just to that part of the district like at the river. And therefore, it raises the question for me whether, in fact, this should be part and parcel of the overall rating system and revaluation, and whether, in fact, we should go back to the Community Board and say, yes, we will look at it, but we will look at it in combination with the long-term plan. Open to suggestions.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Most of those things, some of them, it's done as a matter of course through the Local Government Rating Act. Probably the loops they have to go through to pass the audit probably supersedes those things in some cases. But we're happy, most of the revaluation was reasonably smooth. It was only this group that were really upset. So to make it that broad, I don't, and with the audit process, I don't know whether we need to go that far.
The only reason why I ask it is that will we inadvertently or unwittingly set a dangerous precedent?
By doing A to F or not?
A to F, or doing this on its own and then other groups later on come along and all this sort of thing.
Good point. Yeah, good point. Really what we're saying here, though, is that Alan and I and management will talk with Landmass and just tick these things off, as a matter of course for the group that have raised the questions.
So it's part of the annual review with Landmass?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I've got the same concerns as Councillor Bernard. I just feel this is all the district properties should be revaluated on the same procedures and not have a separate little section that's dealt with differently.
Yes.
So my concern is, particularly with the resolution, that it only refers to the Riverside Turangi properties. If it's district-wide, then I've got no problem with it. But I'm exactly the same as Bernard.
Chairman, I think that the woman who started all this in Turangi was really about the methodology of the way they were treated. I think it's got anything to do with because you got that tender process that we can't get involved with because it's laid down by the Valuer General. So I think it was about how landmass actually got, the way they treated people. They weren't taking in the right statistics. I don't think the girls were thinking about it as Turangi-centric, but I don't know if sending it back to Turangi, the community board is going to be the right thing. Just need to change what's on here to make it everyone. But I don't think we're going to be able to change the world with this one, are we? Really, it's about the way they perhaps did things.
Yes, yeah. So some people, rightly or wrongly, I'm not sure because I wasn't there. So the conversations that the valuers had with individuals, I can't say whether they were real or not. We were at that meeting in Turangi, and my perception were they rude? I don't know.
I think he came across as being arrogant, but he was on the defensive because he'd been before and he was waiting for it to be pelted with bricks, I think.
Yeah.
And I suppose for a lot of older people, seeing their major investment, which is their house, devalue is difficult to swallow.
Yeah.
But I think the figures, from a real estate point of view, were in line with property sales at that time.
Yeah. So basically what we've ended up with is a group of owners who were unhappy with the evaluation who joined a group. And they've suggested to us that we should do these from A to F to appease them, really. And we're saying that, okay, we're happy to do that, and we're happy to work with Landmass and make sure that group, A to F, we deal with that. But if you think that, from a broader perspective, the auditor that is audited by the Office of the Valuer General, which is Land Information New Zealand, to try and put little thing like this in that big picture is sort of. But then to say we're not going to do it, I'd prefer to say to that group, okay, we've listened, we've taken on board what you've said, and we'll try our best to make sure next time we'll help.
As part of and that could be part of the annual audit review.
Or their revaluation. As part of that, we'll get Landmass to work with you guys individually, and we'll start on the right foot. We've done it before. In the past, we've had objections from the forestry sector. And so what we've done since 2005 from the outset, we've talked to them and started off on the right foot. So with this group who have stood out this time, we'll do that if you are okay with that.
Yeah, I was just going to make some comments on the audit report. I think the graph shows that it scored 4.3 to 4.5. The top marks are 5. To have a system like the re-evaluation and come out with an average of 4.4, I think that's pretty good personally. And I think most property owners were a little bit disappointed in the new evaluation. I certainly was. And I went to the expense of getting my own valuation done by a registered valuer. That's the opportunity you can take if you wish to. So it's more important to me to keep whatever re-evaluation in 2016 as a district re-evaluation and not as something other than another group having a special little arrangement. That's just
through the chair to clarify, Tony, the requests by this group are actually nothing. There's nothing really different from what they normally do for all other residents anyway. This seems to be more of a discussion of the relationship between Landmass and these residents, and I don't think it's appropriate as a council resolution, really, to be honest. I think we should just deal with it internally and work with those people when it comes up together, because we talk about being dealt with differently. They're actually things that they're doing anyway, fully inform themselves of the economic development. Well, they do that. That's part of the audit. So they're not asking for anything different, but to be treated, they feel they've been treated unwell. It's a relationship issue, not a rating issue, I feel.
Yeah. So it sort of came about to end up in here because it went to the board and so it's sort of strange that it's here.
TT board to deal with this. So I guess I suppose we can amend it to make it a district-wide thing.
Or we amend the resolution just to say that I think this is a relationship issue, so maybe it's just when it comes around next time we'll work more closely to help facilitate the relationship between those aggrieved residents and landmass in our role as a council, but I don't think we can do more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Councillor Limson?
Yes, Chair, sure. Yeah, actually, thank you. I agree originally certainly with Councillor Bernard's logic regarding precedent and whether we should be getting involved, whether they're going to open the thing to the whole district, and certainly with Councillor Roseanne has stated it is more a personal thing, isn't it? Perhaps with the personnel within the landmass, and as I think Councillor Cousins would say that probably they did reflect market values, did reflect the valuation pretty well. Yeah. 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 And you were the man on the spot.
Yeah. Originally, the group wanted us to sack landmass technologies and hire somebody that was more agreeable, which is everything. But I probably hear a little bit what you're saying, actually. Yeah.
So what would we like to do? Do we have to have a resolution?
Clarification. I was not at the I was not at the August board meeting down there, but I noticed in the document before us it states a recommendation from the board was, and there's A to F.
Yes.
But in fact, in the first one, F is missed out, but it's in the following resolution. Was there a reason for that?
No.
Okay. So in the original resolution from the council, from the TCB board, if it's a correct record of the resolution.
There's A to F in this resolution.
No, appreciate that on page on number 7. It actually says and include point A to E in the tender document next time. There's no F.
If you're going to change it, actually.
It's included.
Yeah, it must be a must be. Yeah.
Minor amendments are fine, but significant change.
The second question, Mr. Chairman, if I read it, and it's on page 7(2), utilising market evidence and amidst of property inspections for both sold and non-sold properties produces a valuation that reflects a fair market price. How many physical visits were done on both sold and non-sold properties?
All sold properties get a visit. There's the auditors ensure from LIMS ensure that the appropriate amount of properties are visited, both sold and unsold. That's part of the audit process. And the audit report in here says, I think it said adequate.
Yeah, when I read the valuation report, I just said, ho hum, another whitewash, but I'm going to be incorrect on that. It just seemed to be from the antagonisation in the community about what happened with the values. I didn't believe I'd read what I've actually read in that.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So, what do you suggest, Mr. Mendel?
Just suggest something. I'm going to throw something out here just to see if we can sort of help things move along. I personally don't see necessarily a big issue with the resolution as it stands. The key is that if staff go away and have a discussion with landmass technology and ultimately decide that this group should be treated differently, then that is an issue that council need to be certainly aware of and involved with any decision-making process. However, if staff come back and advise councillors that this group will be dealt with exactly the same as every other group, then the issue is sort of an irrelevance. So rather than try and amend the resolution which has come to you from the community board, it may well be worth accepting that resolution, however adding your own portion to the resolution, which you're entitled to do, which you can then also return to the community board for their information, which is that if there is any decision made that changes the district-wide approach, then that will be made subject to a long-term plan process by the council or something similar along those lines. Perhaps somebody with a bit more knowledge connect.
We could table it at this stage until further investigation. Well, I've moved that we table the resolution before us.
And I would recommend an additional resolution to be incorporated at the same time, so part 1 and part 2, that if there is anything other than a district-wide approach as a result of that conversation, it will be brought back to council and treated as a long-term plan matter. I just need to take some advice across the table to see if we can do that.
Through the chair, naturally we don't sit on our hands. We have had numerous discussions with Landmass in regards to this, and we have got to a fairly common state of mind as far as the valuation issues within the whole district, using this as one of the catalysts for that discussion. So we do have a degree of confidence that heading into 2016 that we're all on the same page, and certain aspects will be tightened up. But from a process perspective, we did have a recommendation from the community board that had to be addressed in the appropriate fashion. As I say, we haven't just sat around doing nothing.
Okay.
So through.
I just wanted to say that when this came to the community board and the group came to the community board with this, that the board felt it was best to come up to council because it needed to be dealt with between Landmass and council. It wasn't between Landmass and the board. So that's why it was recommended to come up to council.
And we're being watched by one of the ladies on webcam. She says, can I please explain to you that Landmass use inconsistent data and inadequate economic analysis?
Through the chair, in regards to that, that is why I asked the Valuer General to do a audit of the objections in respect of the valuations, and you've got a copy of, you've received previously a copy of that audit report, and there was nothing in that audit report which matches the comments that you just made.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to say that stuff here either. Yes. There's a question for the floor, so I apologise.
Okay, thank you. All right, so where do we want to just take?
Through the chair, I think Rob Williams' suggestion, in the interest of moving this along, following process and meeting the community board's needs, we have the amendment as it stands with the rider about the long-term plan, and that we move it from there.
So just to recap, part one is the resolution as you see before you. Part two will be that if any approach is agreed to that is different to a district-wide consistent standard, then the matter will be brought to council for decisions to be made via the long-term plan.
Happy to move that.
And I'll be happy to second that.
See you in the evening.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Stosky, seconded by Councillor Jollins. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried.